And hi, everybody, and welcome to the Bob Show here on KYCA. Really appreciate you spending some time with us this afternoon. We know there's a lot going on. We know everybody's busy, and it's election day in the city of Prescott. And because it's the election day, before we get to our fantastic guests, we're going to talk to Michelle Burchill from the county who's counting ballots over there. Michelle, are you on?
I'm here. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, we're living the dream.
I bet you are. Well, give us the latest, will you? How's it looking?
Okay. I actually just pulled our numbers right about 5 minutes before I gave you a call. So you guys are getting real-time information right now.
Super.
So we officially outpaced our 2023 election. So our Prescott voters showed up over the weekend and got us over that hump. So we are at 46% return right now, and we've accepted 16,485 ballots as of a few minutes ago.
Fantastic.
So we've officially we got that number up. I was getting worried at the end of last week, but it looks like some of our late voters have finally made it over here. So you've got a few hours to go if you live in the city of Prescott and you still want to vote or you have a ballot. You got to get here, be in line by 7 p.m.
Okay, and the best way to do it would probably be just go to the drop-off over there at the county building, right?
Yes, if you have your mail-in ballot ready and prepared, drop it off at the drop box. You can drive up, drop it in. We're checking it pretty much hourly at this point, but we will be out there at 7 p.m. promptly. So if I see you racing down the street at 7:01, it will be too late.
Okay.
And if you want to actually come into the office, I've had about 35 people today come in and vote here in the office. So that is an option for you at 1015 Fair Street. You just got to come up to the second floor and we can get you a ballot printed, or you can use our ADA marking device. If you have any issues where you need to see or hear the ballot, we can accommodate that. And we are going to get you guys some results at 8 o'clock.
I was just going to ask that. Okay, so by 8 o'clock you should have, I guess you'd call them preliminary, but there would still be a big number by 8 o'clock.
Yes. What our plan is a majority of what we have should be posted by that time. I'd say anything in the next couple hours is probably going to be in our batch tomorrow morning, because anybody that comes in to vote at the end of the day will be going over to the post office at 6:30. We'll be stopping the drop box at 7. If there's anybody here in the office at 7, all of those ballots still have to go through the process of being received in our office. And then we also have to still signature verify them. And that's even if you voted in person today, your ballot will be placed in an affidavit envelope and still have to go through the process, because this is what's considered a vote-by-mail election.
Okay, so if you voted before now with 16,000 votes, we should get a pretty good idea at 8 o'clock what happened.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay. All right, wonderful. Thank you very much. I know you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off over there, so we really appreciate you taking the time and informing us.
Sure, my pleasure. Anytime.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye. Wow. Also, just remind everybody, stay tuned to KYCA at 8 o'clock. If the numbers are out, they'll be broadcast here on KYCA. And Andrew's nodding his head yes, so I think that's really going to happen. All right, thank you. Okay. Today we have special guests in the studio for us here on the Bob Show, and they are from an organization called People Who Care. And I don't know if anybody out there has heard of them or know about them, but if you have and you'd like to make comments about it, you always are free to call in at 928-541-1016. Those folks who are out there who aren't familiar with them, today's the day we're going to try to bring you up to speed on what they're doing out there. We have Dan Keeley, who's sitting right next to me over here. He's the current president this year of the organization. We have Jane Harrison, who's sitting across table from me. She's the executive director of People Who Care. And we have Tom Persky, who's here, who, for lack of better term, the guy who pays attention to low vision issues for People Who Care. And I don't know where to start, so I'm just going to start with the very first question, and that is, what is the history of PWC? And I don't know who would like to take that on.
I can take that on.
Okay.
Thank you. First of all, thanks, Bob, for this opportunity. We have noticed that we'll be 35. We'll have our 35th anniversary next year since founding. So we've been around the community for a long time, but we do not have a large public awareness quotient in the area. So we are People Who Care is a 501c3 charity founded here in Prescott 34 years ago by a small group of civic-minded individuals from various faith-based communities who recognized an unmet need to provide transportation to their neighbors who were no longer able to drive. And as you will hear as Jane speaks later on, it's important to note that our founders chose to use the term neighbors rather than clients because it's a much more personal term and indicates more of a visceral human connection. Our mission is to provide essential transportation and non-medical services at no cost to adults in the Quad Cities area who are unable to drive because of aging, disability, or vision loss, so they may continue to live independently. And through the years, our services have expanded from essential transportation to medical appointments, to include escorted grocery shopping, grocery pickup and delivery, friendly visits and phone calls, non-medical family caregiver relief, personal paperwork assistance, technology assistance, how to use their smart devices, home safety inspection program, minor home repairs, installation of carbon monoxide detectors and smoke detectors, pets to vets, and classes on living with low vision, which is a 6-week-long series of 2-hour sessions conducted several times a year in our office at Plaza West. And since 2022, we've been blessed to have a couple of volunteers show up in our community, including Tom Persky and his lovely wife, Diane, who have a great deal of experience in dealing with assisting people with low vision. And Tom, why don't you talk about a little bit about what you and Diane do?
Sure. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Bob, for having us.
Absolutely.
And it's been great, very fulfilling work to be helping those with vision loss. Macular degeneration right now is the leading cause of vision loss in people over 65 in all developing countries around the world. So persons lose the center vision. You don't go blind, but you lose the important vision like reading and driving. And my career is 40 years as a professional, and my wife has got 25 years, I believe, or longer. And so when we came and we were giving a talk at the library, people came running up saying, Tom, we want to talk to you. And I said, no, I'm retired.
Yeah. That was you, wasn't it?
No, it was the former director, CJ. But it was great. Once I learned about the organization, this beautiful facility they have now, I said, I would be glad to volunteer maybe 2 days a week and give me 5 days off,
Yeah.
And but I myself am vision impaired. I have a juvenile form of macular degeneration. I've been an expert in the field. I've lectured all over the world about eye diseases, and so I felt like here I am in Prescott. The need is here, and so we've been very busy helping turn people's lives around.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And folks, I know there are people listening to the Bob Show right now who are already hearing things that they probably did not know you could have or get here in our local area. And I want to focus on you, Jane, to just give us some parameters about how you contact People Who Care to get these services set up for themselves.
Okay. Well, thank you
Yep.
that we're here today. So our telephone number is 928-445-2480. Again, 928-445-2480. Phones are available 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., Monday through Friday. And essentially, our target population are the people who can no longer drive. It may be a temporary situation after a surgery or something. We will certainly help with those folks, but also sometimes people give up driving or don't have a vehicle anymore and cannot drive themselves or have someone available in their household to drive. And so they call us and we do a phone interview asking some questions over the phone. Because our drivers, the people who transport, are all volunteers, we have to make sure that we're comfortable that our volunteers will be able to transport the individual. We can take walkers. We don't expect our volunteers to hoist wheelchairs into their vehicle. So if someone is confined to a wheelchair, we do have to make sure that they're able to self-transfer from their wheelchair into a vehicle. And we always ask to make sure if there are vehicles that they aren't able to get into, we just need to know that up front when we do the phone interview.
Sure.
We have retired nurses and social workers that we call intake coordinators. They follow up with the individual after the phone interview and make home visits so we can go out and verify the information they gave us over the phone. We provide them with an informational packet full of lots of community resources, and they're just out there to ensure that the person meets our criteria, can self-transfer if need be, and we have a release form that they sign.
Sure.
And once that has all been completed, then they're able to give us a call and start scheduling rides or shopping trips or whatever.
And once you get it set up, then it's set up.
They're eligible.
So
yeah.
You're ready to go. All right. Well, we got lots more questions to go. So stick with us. We have to take a commercial break. We'll be right back. And we're back here on the Bob Show. We're talking to people who care. We're talking to Dan. We're talking to Jane, and we're talking to Tom. And we got all kinds of things going on. And we've got a caller on the line. So I always like to find out what people are thinking out there. So let's put Ann on the phone and see what's on her mind. Ann, are you there?
I am here.
All right, good. What you got? Talk to us.
I wanted to first of all thank the people you have there for the program. It's so helpful. I am low vision. My correction is 20/2400, and so I'm not a driver anymore. But I did take a series of classes from the organization about 5 years ago, which is when I started declining in my vision. And I'm wondering if they still hold those classes or if they've discontinued them.
Tom?
No, the classes are going very well. In fact, we've increased the number of classes, and they are also, I guess you could say, have been updated in many ways with my contributions in technology and low vision aids and devices that are out there to help. You know, people know about hearing aids, but they don't know all the different vision aids that are out there. And so I do a kind of an advanced class as part of the classes that we hold now, and they've been very, very popular.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. Well, I assume you still have a website, and I could go look and see.
It's funny you were asking, Ann, because we were talking about that on the break and saying we got to get the website info out.
Good.
Well, thank you for the call. It's an excellent question.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. All right, well, good. Let's go ahead and do the website real quick before I get back to Dan over here.
Okay.
Okay.
We just updated our website late last fall, and our website address is www.peoplewhocareaz.org.
Instead of com.
Well, they can still access it through .com. We had .com for many years, but as a nonprofit organization, when we were updating the website, getting a newer, more contemporary look, we asked the developer if they were able to, it would be a good time to change from .com to .org. So again, it's www.peoplewhocareaz.org. There are multiple organizations throughout the United States called People Who Care, including one in Australia.
Oh.
And there's one in Cleveland. So we do have to have the az.org at the end of our website.
Otherwise, they're going to be traveling for quite a while. That's funny. Okay, Dan, how big an area do you service?
Well, Bob, I'm not sure what the area measured in square miles would be, but we service neighbors in Prescott Valley, Chino Valley, and Dewey. So that's a pretty large area.
The Quad City.
The Quad City areas, yes, sir.
Even though there's only one city, but we call it the Quad City, and everybody agrees to doing that. Yeah. I don't know if I heard it or not, so I'm going to ask it again, Jane. The cost to the person who needs the service is
$0. We utilize volunteers to deliver all the services we offer, and so there is no cost. Certainly there are costs to operate the organization. We exist on donations, grant funding. City of Prescott gives us some funds from their community development block grant funds. We get Arizona Department of Transportation funding and a lot of private foundations, but we also welcome donations from the community. When I opened mail today, we had a couple of checks from people that had used us temporarily, but sent us thank you notes and cards saying it was a great service. Thank you for getting me through my surgery and recuperation, etc.
Yeah, well, I don't know if we talked about it on the break, but I wanted to make sure everybody knew that if you need the service, it'll be zero cost to you.
Correct.
Unless you choose to do something, it's not going to cost you, and it's very important. We were also talking about, which I found interesting, if somebody who's listening right now has somebody in mind that could use this service, if they give you a call, they're gonna reference the person who actually needs the service, and then you'll contact that person directly.
Yes. We prefer to talk to the prospective neighbor directly and get the answers from them directly. So if it's an adult child or a neighbor who says, my other neighbor needs the service, feel free to go to that neighbor and suggest that they place the call together. But the questions that we ask in the interview need to be answered by the person
Excellent.
who needs the support.
Sure. Okay, Dan, how do I volunteer? What's involved with volunteering?
Well, the first thing involved in becoming a volunteer is to contact our office. Certainly, we have a volunteer manager who will conduct an interview with you, and then prior to adding you to our roster of volunteers, we have to go through a vetting program, which includes fingerprint checks and background checks. And then if you are accepted, then you also go through a volunteer orientation class, which is a couple hours long, and then you are eligible to be a volunteer.
That's excellent information. So you vet these folks that are going to be helping out.
The volunteer application is available on our website.
Okay.
Or we can provide a hard copy to someone who's interested in volunteering. We do ask for 2 references on the application, and we do call those references and just briefly explain what it is we do, and do they think their friend or mother or sister or whoever would be someone that would be a good volunteer and enjoy helping us. And the ADOT funds, Arizona Department of Transportation, helps us offset the cost of the fingerprinting and background check. So
good.
There's no out of pocket for the prospective volunteer. We have the fingerprint packets. I have a letter in the packet that says they're going to volunteer for a nonprofit, so there's no fee for that.
And if they start getting nervous when you ask them to give their fingerprints, it's probably not a good fit. Say, okay, folks, we got to go to a hard break at the bottom of the hour. So stick with us. We got a bunch more questions to go. We'll be right back. And we're back here on the Bob Show. We're talking to people from People Who Care. We're talking to Dan Keeley, the current president, and Jane Harrison, the executive director, and Tom Persky, who is the low vision individual, the guy who handles low vision issues for People Who Care. And we've got a caller online, so let's go ahead and jump on line one and talk to John. John, are you there, sir?
Yes, I am. How's everybody doing this afternoon?
We're good. We're good.
Good. Yeah, I have a couple of questions. I've called in on the show before occasionally, and it's I happen to be blind. I live here in Prescott. I've been here for 4.5 years, almost 5 years now. So I guess I'm kind of an oldie here now as far as new people coming in. But first of all, I wanted to make some comments. People Who Care have always done a fantastic job for me. In fact, there's been one or two instances where you people went over and beyond the call of duty, because it was one of those situations where I think you were changing some of the equipment in the office some time back, and I had called in for a ride for the first of the month, routine banking and so forth. And about a week and a half later, and I hadn't heard from them, and somehow it accidentally slipped through the cracks. And we had 24 hours, and they were actually able to come up with a ride for me during that time period, which it's not every situation like that, but I would call that above and beyond the call of duty.
Fantastic.
Thank you, John.
Now, I had a question here, and this is regarding Debbie Shearer and a communication I had with her in June. I am trying to put together something, and it's not even on the ground floor yet, and this would not involve People Who Care directly. But what I'm trying to put together is a means of social transportation for those who are unable to drive to be able to attend some of the activities in Prescott on the square, like the summer concerts and Acronite and some of the other things that are going on. But what I did is I sent a sample questionnaire that I did at the Low Vision Support Group. I sent her a sample questionnaire, and she was going to give it to the board of directors, because I'm trying to get a survey out of what people would want, how much would they be willing to be paid, would they be willing to share a ride, and so on and so forth, and would they attend the activities. But this was around the middle of June, and so far I never heard anything coming back. And I was just wondering if any of you, especially if you're on the board of directors, if you might know about that.
Anybody, Dan?
Well, that hasn't risen to the level of the board of directors yet, John, and I think that's probably because we are really working hard to make sure that our volunteers can carry out our base mission of transportation to essential transportation rather than social activities. We also, unfortunately, we don't have enough volunteers to respond to take people to beauty parlor appointments and our other social engagements. So I'm sure then Jane gets back to the office tomorrow that she'll talk to Debbie and reach out to you and give you an update on what she's...
I know, it's understandable that I know that People Who Care would not be directly involved with, neither could they. You couldn't be expected. But it's a type of situation where it's just I want to get the feel in the disabled and blind community. I want to find a way of getting a feel from them as, would you be interested, and so on and so forth. And so I was hoping to use People Who Care and possibly New Horizons over in Prescott Valley as an avenue to get a survey like that out.
Well, I saw Jane making a note, so I'm assuming that you give them a call and
I'll talk to Debbie
and see what's going on.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about this, John. My other thought is, I worked for a similar organization down in the valley some years ago, and somebody else was trying to have a similar arrangement down there in the Northwest Valley. And I know that they contacted a couple of the assisted living communities, and it's a matter of liability insurance. We even have difficulty getting liability insurance in some cases for our services because they are performed by volunteers.
Wow.
And the assisted living communities were not able to have their vehicles that were not being used late afternoon and evenings or weekends. They weren't able to use those vehicles for such activities because of the huge liability, the risk of having different people driving and that kind of thing. So I think talking to New Horizons, my other thought is Agape Transportation and Servant's Heart are two fee-based transportation services, but perhaps talking to those folks, they might be able to work with you to figure something out.
Right.
Those would be the two I would touch base with.
Thanks.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of Agape. I haven't checked them out, but I'm familiar with the name anyhow.
All right, thanks, John.
Okay, thank you. Everyone have a good day.
Yeah,
You too, John.
Thank you very much for calling. All right. Well, I want to get real quick back to, the time goes so quick.
Yeah.
If a volunteer wants to begin, what would be their commitment time-wise, and do they get reimbursed for any expenses that they might have?
Sure. So we are very flexible with our volunteers. We say do what you can when you can. And that means if you can only give us 1 or 2 days a month, we certainly understand this is a retirement community and people travel or have company in town. Sure. And so we just ask the volunteers to, on the application, they can tell us days of availability, afternoons or mornings. And if that changes, they're welcome to call us and let us know of the change.
I think the public, I'm sorry to interrupt you, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, we try to keep them within their days of availability. We can either call them to see if they can take an assignment, or now the database that John was referencing, they can self-assign. So they can go into the database, see what the requests are for the week or next month, and assign themselves.
Okay.
But we always say we're extremely flexible. There's no minimum number of hours. And as Dan pointed out, at People Who Care, no is a complete sentence. If we call you and you're not able to take the assignment, you can say no. What you do with your time is your business, not ours.
And you do reimburse for mileage for folks that have to drive.
Arizona Department of Transportation gives us a generous grant that allows us to reimburse volunteers for mileage at 70 cents per mile.
Okay, wonderful.
Is the amount this year.
Okay, and we got to take a break, but I'm interested on the total amount of what kind of volume do you serve now? How many neighbors are you serving? Dan, who has that?
Want that?
Oh, I've got
Joe,
that.
yep.
Yes. Last year, we served, find it here.
I think it was 472 throughout the Quad Cities.
Yes. It was.
474.
Yeah, we had about 267 volunteers donated 22,000 hours just last year serving those neighbors, driving over 150,000 miles, while providing 7,900 services.
Yep, got it right here in front of me. Some of it anyway.
And and you've got the document that you've got there, Bob, is our decade of service, and we highlight that in the last 10 years, and again, we'll be 35 years old next year. So just in the last 10 years, we've served 2,240 neighbors in our community, provided 72,000 services. We had 550 volunteers. So you see that once someone volunteers with us, they stay with us for quite a while.
Yeah, sounds like.
And in many cases, we try to make sure people understand today you're a volunteer. In the future, you may be a neighbor.
Yeah, exactly. Wow.
And in that 10 years, over 1.4 million miles driven and 168,000 volunteer hours just in the last 10 years.
Yeah, that's
and
amazing.
the need is increasing. The demographics of our population right now and the people who we serve, 95% are 60 or older, 58% are over the age of 80.
Wow, okay.
77% are women, 72% are low income. almost an identical amount, 71% live alone. The average age of our neighbors is 79, and I think astoundingly 40% of our neighbors receive assistance only from people who care.
Wow.
The other thing I was going to add, with low vision service being a new program for people who care, which started a little over 2 years ago, that we've already served over 200 persons who were referred by their doctors. We get referrals from the optical shop at Costco with persons looking for a magnifying glass.
Sure.
We get referrals.
Okay, well, hang on to that idea. I want to get back to this confident living with low visions classes that you're offering, which I think is phenomenal. But we got to take a break, so let's go ahead and do that, and we'll be right back. And we're back here, and we're talking to folks from People Who Care. We're talking to Jane, Dan, and Tom, and I want to get specifically to Tom because we were just talking during the break. You're offering a class, I guess, or a situation called Confident Living with Low Vision Classes. And I'd like for you to just take a minute and explain what that is.
The classes started way back in 2007. By two women who were very instrumental in helping people understand the everyday part of living with low vision. What low vision really is persons who have lost enough vision that it's difficult to do everyday activities. Like, I can't see the microwave buttons, I can't see the thermostat on the wall. I'm having trouble reading my mail. That's what low vision is. And so it might be pouring hot liquids. It might be using knives in the kitchen. Whatever it might be for every person in their life, of course, is different. And so the class was developed with the idea of how about 15 or 20 people sitting together and sharing what they're going through, and then are there solutions, which there are tons of solutions for people, but people just don't know what's out there.
I'm sitting here wondering what those are. Yeah.
And then my part, when I came, when they told me they already had these classes, and they said, well, we always wanted to have individualized attention for people, and they gave me a beautiful room, and they said, is this room good enough, Tom? I said, this looks like I died and went to heaven. And we have about 100 different vision aids and devices, and I take my time, and because of my background and because I live with low vision, I can empathize and do counseling. My professional degree was in family counseling, but as a low vision specialist, I can help people. It's usually sometimes an hour and a half to 2 hours, and then I work together with Ryan, who's on our team for technology. So many people come in today. Their smartphone is something that's really important. If they can't do it anymore, now we can teach them how to do that. Ray-Ban has these cool smart glasses that have cameras on them, and you can actually hold up your mail, and your glasses will read to you. You can do texting. You can play music. You can ask for information.
Yeah,
And there's so many new things out there now that we are, because I'm in the field and I've helped develop a lot of these technologies over the years.
This isn't just a shallow peripheral kind of thing you're doing here. This is life-changing things that are happening in your purview there.
And we get that a lot. That a woman asked my wife, Diane, does this change my life? Do people say that sometimes? And she goes, no, they say it every time.
Almost every time.
And,
folks, if you know somebody and you're listening, you know somebody, this is the program you have got to take advantage of. And I just can't thank you enough for doing this. I think it's fantastic, and it's such a service to our Quad City area.
There's never been low vision services in all of northern Arizona. So we are the first, and hopefully I'll find a young person or many professionals that in my field that we could someday train and be able to pay a good salary to, so that we can continue. We are also coordinating with an organization called Savvy, which is an organization for the blind, and they're interested in coming up here and doing some classes with us. And then there's a large retina group called Associated Retina Consultants, and they're the largest in Phoenix. There's 13 retina doctors. So they're coming up to this area now, and they called and they said, Tom, we hear great things of all the patients that you're helping. Can you do a support group once a month for all of our patients? So we just recently started that also.
Fantastic.
So same phone number, 445-2480. 445-2480. And just say you want to come. You want to come for low vision, or you want to come see Tom.
All right,
and
fantastic.
There's no charge. No.
Yeah, and again, $0.
Yes.
Yep. So it's fantastic. All right, we're going to take one more break. Guess so. Andrew, all right, we'll take one more break. We'll be right back. we're here. We're on the Bob Show, and we're talking to people who care. And I'm reading something off. Air caller wants to know if people who care deal with ocular albinism.
Yes.
Okay, and we were talking a little bit about. Dan alluded to something else that you offer for the vision impaired. So go ahead and answer that question if you can. So the answer is yes, you do.
Yes. I've been familiar and even spoken at the National Organization for Albinism and Hypopigmentation is the name. No, it's a group called NOAA, and it was part of my training and background. And so those with albinism oftentimes have some degree of, they're not going to be 20/20 vision. There's some degree of vision. And so whether it's just a consultation where I can figure out what is the most important thing to them, what the level of vision is, and then be able to show them the newest technologies, the smart glasses. Yeah. It might sometimes just be specialized reading glasses and so forth.
How would you define albinism?
Albinism is the lack of pigment in either the skin or if it doesn't in the eyes. They call it hypopigmentation. And so persons with albinism usually have a lack of the pigment.
Yeah, and my grandfather had that.
Okay,
issue.
that causes trouble. I also work closely with Dr. Carlos Grandella from Phoenix, who's a low vision optometrist, and there's only one or two in the state. And I convinced him to come to Prescott. So somebody who needs a specialized pair of glasses, there's even in the state of Arizona, glasses that you can actually have a small telescope mounted on the top of your glasses if you're near the borderline for having to give up driving. And people don't know about that. And so we don't let blind people drive here, but but so many people want to know about where can I go to get this kind of help. So we talk a lot about that. I have samples of what those types of specialized glasses look like, and we help people with that.
You know, one of the things I've learned, having lived in Prescott for a period of time now, is that it seems like we are fortunate to have people move here, like the three of you, who are dedicated to doing what you do, and it's just such a blessing for our communities, all four of our communities, the local, the close ones. That it's just wonderful. I want to thank each and every one of you for doing this. It's just fantastic. So we still have a little more time. So who wants to sum up or talk a little more?
I'd be happy to. Never been described as being reluctant to speak, but we've had a charter this year to the board, a challenge that we would raise our public awareness quotient, and that we've been so focused on introspection that we are not getting the credit that we deserve. And when I say that, what I really mean is we're not getting enough eyes on our organization. And hopefully we're able to, through your program, thank you again, raise our public awareness quotient so people understand who we are, what we do, how long we've been here, and we would hit it out of the park if we ended up with more neighbors being identified who could utilize our services, more volunteers who would like to join us, because many of our volunteers, as you could see, over the last 10 years, 550 volunteers, and I think right now we're sitting at somewhere like 267. Not a lot of turnover on volunteers.
No.
And so there's a great deal of personal fulfillment that our volunteers receive from working with our neighbors. And then that's really what we want to do. And if we get more neighbors, we get more volunteers, we're able to provide more services, get Tom some more backup, so that we can, because it is a field that is becoming increasingly apparent that there are no other sources.
And the need is growing all the time in our area.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so that's what we're all about. And the donations and everything will follow. So we're mostly interested in more neighbors and more volunteers.
Super. Jane, address for your office and your phone number again. We got about 45 seconds left.
We're located in the Plaza West complex over by the bowling alley in Prescott.
Okay.
Our address is 1580 Plaza West Drive in Prescott, 86303. And our phone number is 928-445-2480.
Well, thank you all for coming today. It's been a real treat. You know, we'll have you on again next year. We'll wait a year or so, and 6-7 months or whatever, and then we'll have you back, and I'll keep your cards and give you a call.
Super.
And then we'll have you back and get an update, see what's going on, see how you're doing, see if there's more activity going on and whatever else. Thanks, folks. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next month on The Bob Show.